Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone.
Chased down by Beal in the corner for three, gets fouled and hits.
Welcome to DC.
Walker tied him out.
You know where you're at, the USA cap. You're taking it slightly, I'm taking it slightly. Now how you gon' act on you gon' be right back. When we gon' be right here, we gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
What's cracking, DMV Sports Zone? It's your boy Natsu with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMV Sports Zone. And I'm back. I'm back after a long week with my reaction to Washington's 14-24 loss in preseason game number 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's the preseason. Shouldn't panic too much about this loss. Really shouldn't panic too much about 2 straight losses, but there are definitely some things to be concerned about when it comes to this team. I mentioned this on Twitter while watching this game. With the way the team has played the last 2 weeks, it's very hard to believe that this team will achieve double-digit wins. My prediction all along throughout the offseason has been 8 or 9 wins, more so 9 wins. And I don't know, man, the team has shown me more to lessen my win total than increase my win total. But with that being said, I just want to get to some of my thoughts on the game or in terms of some players that were playing today. So first and foremost, Brian Robinson. I mentioned this last week. Brian Robinson is RB1. If you needed any further proof of him being RB1, look at how many reps he got with the first team today during the preseason game. He was the guy. He was the guy. He was running between the tackles. And not only was he running between the tackles as the RB1 based off of his performance last week, but he was consistently doing some good things today as well. He was always getting some positive yardage, right? There are a couple runs every now and then where, he didn't produce, but he definitely showed more than Antonio Gibson has over the last couple of weeks. And speaking of Antonio Gibson, I do like how the team used him more as a pass catcher out of the backfield today, although he's playing more so with the twos. He was playing into the second half, I believe, actually. So I think that tells you all you need to know about Antonio Gibson in terms of his starting ability on this team, at least coming right out the gate. And he was used also after being split out wide as a receiver as well. This is something that us fans have been clamoring for a while now, and he's starting to be utilized that way. So I think Antonio Gibson, he's here to stay. He's going to play somewhat of a role on this team. It's probably going to be more as a pass catcher than a guy in between the tackles. That's honestly where a lot of his fumbles come from, right? When he's hesitating. And we saw that even a little bit today. He didn't have too many yards on the ground. I believe 2 carries for 3 yards, right? So he wasn't great by any means. But in terms of being a pass catcher, in terms of being a receiver out of the backfield, he did show some good things. And I think he'll show some good things in Scott Turner's offense moving forward. Another guy I wanted to mention, Carson Wentz, the quarterback, right? QB1 in DC. Wasn't that great, 6 for 9, 64 yards. Wasn't atrocious. But there was that one play where he spun himself into a sack, which is Carson Wentz of old, which is the Carson Wentz that we don't want to see here in DC. So hopefully he can be more consistent as we move forward, and he can be a good starter for us. But I don't know, man. Carson Wentz, he's shown enough to obviously be the starter here in DC. But in my opinion, he hasn't shown the great plays that he showed obviously during the 2017 season, but even last year, right? So maybe we'll see more of that as the playbook opens up in the regular season, but so far, so mid for Carson Wentz. Another guy I want to mention, Jahan Dotson. We've been talking about how throughout the week, especially Abdullah, about how Jahan Dotson did not get much work at all in preseason game number 1. I mentioned this in my recap of that game, right? But the entire offensive staff made a concerted effort to get Jahan Dotson a lot of reps today, and he did some good things. I believe he had a screen play where he ran upfield, he cut back, and then he ran upfield and gained some yardage. I believe it was a first down on that play. And he did some good things today, and I'm excited to see, again, what Dotson will bring to the table as the regular season is soon underway. Another piece of today's news that I want to mention, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, but the inactives, man, the offensive line inactives specifically. Charles Leno, Wes Schweitzer, Andrew Norwell, and Trey Turner were all out today. And that's especially problematic because this was the second preseason game of a 3-game slate, right? Where This is where the starters are supposed to play. This game, at least over the last couple of years, has been deemed a dress rehearsal for a lot of teams out there, right? Exhibit A, Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, most of their starters were playing. I believe Juju wasn't playing, Juju Smith-Schuster, but most of their starters were playing, right? So that is problematic that, 4 out of 5 of our projected starters, or 3 out of our 5 projected starters were not playing. Hopefully they get healthy and stuff, but we probably won't see them next week, right? In that third preseason game, because a lot of the starters might be resting before week 1 of the regular season. So a little concerning for sure. Another concerning thing is the defense. Oh my gosh. The defensive line did show some pressure today. They collapsed the pocket a little bit on Patrick Mahomes, although in my opinion it wasn't too much, right? Because I don't think they got any sacks when Patrick Mahomes was in the game. This man's was throwing left-handed and right-handed, was throwing around defenders, and yes, he's Patrick Mahomes, he does do that, but I don't think the defense, in my opinion, did their part today to really give Patrick Mahomes a hard time. But I think when we talk about the defense, we got to talk about the coverage. And Jack Del Rio, I don't know what he's doing, bro. I don't know why he's still here in DC. On top of his abysmal performance as the defensive coordinator last year, you obviously have all the off the field stuff, the distractions, right? You're as a coach, you want the players to not be distractions, but when you're yourself a distraction on the team, I think that's especially problematic. And man, he keeps having DBs play 10 yards off receivers on third downs, like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5s. I know there's a lot of scheme that goes into football. I get it. I really do. But at the end of the day, it just does not make sense for me to play 6 yards, 7 yards off a receiver when it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. I know you want to get a defensive back in position to jump the pass and potentially contend for a pass deflection or an interception. But to me, it just doesn't make too much sense. And we've seen this too often over the last couple of years, especially last year, right? When our defense was struggling over the first half. So, yeah, that's very concerning. And the linebacker play, I mean, it's never good. It's never good. Today, Jamin Davis was playing better than Cole Holcomb. The same Jamin Davis that we were literally talking about as a mediocre, at least in terms of his performance, it's been mediocre at best, probably lackluster, right, over the last year and some change now with the preseason. And he was probably our best linebacker today. Cole Holcomb, shouts out to Corey on the warpath. He's never been a Cole Holcomb fan, or at least over the last couple of months and stuff. And yeah, Cole Holcomb is an average linebacker, guys, at best. We might be overrating our own guys, to be honest, right? Like, I don't know. He still has coverage deficiencies. This is, I don't know how many years he's into the league right now, but he's definitely a veteran. He's up for a contract, and we're seeing the same problems that plagued him in 2019, right? I believe when he was a rookie. And yeah, the defense did not have a good showing whatsoever. I mean, it was 14-0 at one point, Kansas City Chiefs. The first team offense of the Kansas City Chiefs did anything and everything they wanted. I believe at one point, beginning of the second quarter, Patrick Mahomes had 162 yards, 2 touchdowns, was almost perfect in terms of passing. I mean, our defense is problematic. And it's especially problematic when all of our starters were playing. Obviously, Chase Young is going to be out for at least week 1, probably a couple weeks into the season, right? But all of our starters were playing. Linebacker, DBs, defensive line. Everybody was playing. And we put up that performance, 2 straight performances actually, because we gave up, we were getting diced up by all 3 of the Panthers quarterbacks last week. Guys, this is concerning, man. The Kansas City Chiefs look like the well-oiled machine that we think they are. But at the end of the day, Commanders did not show me enough. I said this at the beginning. Did not show me enough to really project a double-digit win total this season for the Commanders. They didn't. I know a lot of fans out there were predicting, 10-7, 11-6, I've never been on that boat. And I'm especially not on that boat right now after what we've seen in the preseason. I know some of you are going to be like, Nazi, stop panicking. Calm down. It's preseason game number 2. You can't really put too much stock in the preseason when a lot of, the offenses, defenses, super vanilla, right? The coaches are not trying to show other coaches anything. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs offense was playing pretty vanilla. Commanders defense was playing pretty vanilla. And we got her, you know what? Fill in the blank beat, right? It is what it is. But with that being said, this is my reaction recap of preseason game number 2, Washington Commanders versus Kansas City Chiefs. 14-24 loss. But more importantly than an L in the preseason is not great performance that we saw today by the defense especially. And even Sam Howell, he had an interception when the Commanders were trying to tie up the game towards the fourth quarter. So Sam Howell, he showed a lot of rookie mistakes today. And but yeah, man, some highlights once again: Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson. I mean, Antonio Gibson as a receiver, that was a highlight today. But yeah, the defense overall wet the bed, and hopefully this does not continue. But I don't know, man. Pessimistic Nazi, I might think it does.